We have a lot of winter weather showing up across the Bluegrass State, not only out there right now, but as we roll into your Valentine's Day weekend. We'll track what's on the horizon coming up.
And I don't believe he would hurt my children.
But police say a Madison County woman's boyfriend abused her two children by using an electric cattle prod.
WKYT investigates. Prosecutors are asking Kentucky coroners for help in preventing drug overdose deaths. Many coroners have concerns with the request.
Tracking, alerting, protecting. This is WKYT News at 6.
Good evening. You can feel it. Colder temperatures, gusty winds, parts of Kentucky even seeing some snow. An Arctic blast has moved right into the bluegrass.
And this is the first of what could be multiple rounds of wintry weather in the coming days. We begin tonight with Chief Meteorologist Chris Bailey. He shows us what he's tracking on the First Alert Defender.
Yeah, snow showers, squalls have been on and off for most of the area today, and it's those northwesterly winds really cutting right through us if we're outside this evening. Wind chill numbers down into the single digits in some cases right now. Feels like it is 9 degrees in Lexington and Covington, and it's the wind chill to dress for. Yes, your car thermometer is going to read something different, but your body is going to tell you it's responding to whatever that wind chill is. That's the combination of the gusty winds and the actual thermometer that's down to 22 degrees. Still some light snow showers falling across the Lexington area on that northwesterly wind. It has been a busy day for Live First Alert Defender with those snow showers and squalls lining up from northwest to southeast. Starting to see a little decrease now in the overall action on Defender. Into the Lexington Metro, some spotty light snow showers and flurries out there. A little increase, though, on the east side of Richmond into the eastern part of Madison County. Chances are right now it is coming down at a pretty good clip here, not too far away from the Lake Reba area, Madison Central High School, and right on the campus of Eastern Kentucky University. Speaking of Eastern Kentucky, we take you down the Mountain Parkway corridor toward the Hal Rogers corridor. That's where we're seeing the bulk of the snow showers as everything again comes in on a strong northwesterly wind flow. If you're out and about this evening, it's a quick drop into the mid-teens, but guys, wind chills show up into the single digits. When I come back in a bit, we're going to track another bigger blast of Arctic air for your Valentine's Day with the hour-by-hour forecast in 10 minutes.
We didn't see much accumulation in Lexington from the snow today, but parts of southern and eastern Kentucky picked up enough to close some schools. Some people in Jackson County were dealing with snow-covered roads, and the higher the elevation, the more snow you saw.
Places, you know, they'd be from 1.5 inches down to 1/2 inch, you know, it just kind of hits in different spots. You'll run into more.
Road crews in Jackson County tell us they are ready to battle any new snow that might come tonight. And for updated closings, delays, and weather information, go to our website, WKYT.com. She calls the accusations against him lies. Tonight, a Madison County mother is defending her boyfriend, who's accused of using an electric cattle prod to punish her children.
As we first told you yesterday here at 6, Richmond police charged 54-year-old Silas Powell with criminal abuse. Today we learned more about the investigation, and our Sam Smith talked to the children's mother. It's our top story at 6.
And I don't believe he would hurt my children.
Carol Powell and Silas Powell are not married. They're engaged, though, and have been dating for a year. She says in that time he has been nothing but kind to her two children.
I don't believe in my heart he did that. And I still don't believe he did that.
A school resource officer was notified of the alleged abuse. Police say Silas abused her kids with an electric cattle prod that looks something like this. It's a device that's meant to help move cattle. Silas works on a cattle farm in Madison County. Police say it was used to discipline a 7-year-old girl and a 12-year-old boy.
Only thing we did when we ground them, we took the toys, the movies, and a TV and a DVD player from them.
She says her kids were taken away and she plans to fight to get them and her boyfriend back home.
I'm not going to choose between every one of them. I love them all three. And I don't believe in my heart he would do that.
Social workers spotted an injury on the leg of one of the children. Carol insists she never saw any bruises on her kids or heard them complain about being abused.
But I love my kids and I love him with all my heart. And I'm not going to give up on my kids and him.
In Richmond, Sam Smith, WKYT.
The children's mother says she's going to court in 2 weeks to try and get those children back.
A state senator charged with DUI has lost his driver's license, at least for now. A Franklin County judge took it away during an arraignment for Senator Brandon Smith this morning. Police arrested him on the first day of the legislative session. Victor Puente tells us why the judge decided Senator Smith shouldn't be driving.
A Franklin County jury could be hearing the case of a state senator charged with DUI. His attorney says they're confident if they go to trial, they'll win.
We know the facts of the case, and we feel like that the evidence will certainly lead to an acquittal of him.
Brandon Smith's attorney says if he could have gone to trial today, he would have. Kentucky State Police stopped Smith in January. They say he was speeding. He was arrested and charged with DUI, first offense. Smith's license was revoked this morning because when he was arrested, he refused to submit to a breathalyzer test. But Johnson says he wasn't refusing. He was trying to contact his attorney, but ran out of time before the test had to be administered.
Says you've got 10 minutes and no more than 15 to find that lawyer, or you've refused the test. And that's what happened to him. He was trying to reach me.
Smith's arraignment was delayed until today because Johnson filed a motion asking for the charge to be thrown out because of a rule from 1891 that prevents legislators from being prosecuted. Smith asked for that motion to be withdrawn.
Quite frankly, I would have liked to have been arguing that today, but he felt like that he did not want to rely on that he felt you ought to go through the justice system, and that's what we're doing.
Johnson had asked for an accelerated trial date, but because of how busy the courts are here, that trial won't happen until sometime in April. In Frankfort, Victor Puente, WKYT.
The judge told Smith he would not have the privilege to drive until this case is resolved.
Lexington police have released some new details about their case against a man charged with murdering his girlfriend. Police say that Paris Charles killed Goldie Massey last fall. They say Massey's remains were found in the Kentucky River after her son reported her missing. During a hearing today, a detective testified that police found large amounts of Massey's blood in Charles' home. They also say on the day she was last seen, Charles claimed the two went to a bar together before he dropped her off at her former home. A judge has sent the case on to a grand jury. A man who admitted killing a Lexington teenager will not have to pay restitution as part of his sentence for manslaughter. A judge had ordered Ernest Wheeler to pay Patrick Puckett's family $16,000 for funeral expenses. Police say Wheeler shot Puckett at a Lexington home in 2013. But the defense claims restitution was not part of the original plea deal. Today, prosecutors withdrew their restitution claim. They say Wheeler threatened to change his guilty plea and stand trial if he had to pay up. Wheeler's defense attorney says neither her client or Puckett's family wanted a trial.
It's already going to haunt him for the rest of his life. This was an extremely tragic event, but to have that additional burden, I think, would have made him reconsider and want to go to trial and see if he could get out of prison quicker.
Wheeler is serving a 12-year prison sentence for manslaughter.
Experts say there are about 1,000 drug overdose deaths every year in Kentucky. The U.S. Attorney's Office is trying to change that by putting more drug dealers in jail. So they're asking coroners for help. But as investigative reporter Miranda Combs tells us, many coroners say there's a problem with what prosecutors want them to do.
It's hard to look at. It's so hard.
She only pulled these pictures out because we were coming.
I like it when it's put away, but then I feel guilty and then I bring it out. It tears me down because I know he's in there and he's not going to come back.
He was 28, Rosemary Baum's only child.
It's a darkness, a cloud, isn't it? It just doesn't go away. Really, it don't.
In April of 2013, Johnny Mac Baum died of a heroin overdose. Federal prosecutors were able to get a 20-year enhanced prison sentence for the drug dealer. It's not a murder charge, but federal drug trafficking laws allow prosecutors to pursue a sentence of 20 years to life when a victim, as far as federal prosecutor Jason Parman is concerned, dies from the drugs given by a dealer.
It's a game changer when you're starting at 20 years and moving up from there.
We want them to know that when they're out peddling this poison, there's a very strong likelihood that if one of their victims happens to die, that they're going to spend the rest of their life in a federal prison.
Recently, U.S. Attorney Kerry Harvey and his prosecutors have put multiple drug dealers behind prison bars for overdose deaths, having to prove that the drug distributed by a dealer caused the death.
If we're going to try to deter those folks from making the decision to distribute a drug that's going to kill people around them, they need to know that there's a severe punitive repercussion at the end of the line.
But that line, federal prosecutors say, needs to start with a crime scene.
In fact, a lot of times it's treated more as an accident scene, and so we lose a lot of evidence really in the first couple of hours after the death.
And when overdoses are treated as accidents, most are not autopsied.
We're always behind the 8 ball, if you will, if we don't have an autopsy.
Conventional wisdom has been that you simply can't go forward and you can't win one of these cases without an autopsy.
But it does happen, and in fact, Parman and his team recently convicted a Clay County man for causing an overdose death and sent the dealer to prison without an autopsy. But that's not an ideal situation.
The purpose of an autopsy is to find the cause of death.
I spoke to the coroners in both Clark and Scott counties. Scott County says they have about 1 overdose death every month. Clark County had 9 last year. They say they always treat overdose deaths as crime scenes, but as for the need for autopsies, well, they say it depends.
My thought is you don't need an autopsy on all overdose deaths.
Scott County Coroner John Goebel and Clark County Coroner Robert Gayhart believe in most cases a toxicology report is enough evidence to prove a cause of death.
Why do that to a body? Why do an autopsy to a body when you know the heroin killed them?
I mean, I understand, prosecutors want everything they can get, and there's nobody that wants traffickers off the street any more than the 2 guys you're sitting here talking to. Because, I mean, we see the effects of it. We meet with the families. We see the kids are left without parents, and the parents is left without children.
Well, everybody just loved him. Yeah, he was definitely loved.
Rosemary's son was autopsied, a big help for prosecutors in the case against his dealer, and a small victory for his mother, now without a son.
Parman does say they are working on educating first responders on the importance of treating overdoses as crime scenes and doing autopsies. He says they've been working with law enforcement and talking to coroners associations. Guys.
So what has been this reception from these coroners that they've talked with?
Parman says very positive, and that the coroners are happy to move into a direction where they're going to be able to start solving a lot more of these cases. So.
A lot more people working together.
Miranda,
thanks, Miranda. Sure. A Lexington police officer has received an honor for helping another police department. Georgetown Police recognized Lexington officer Roman Pachowski during a Georgetown City Council meeting. Last month, police say Officer Pachowski was off duty at the Kohl's in Georgetown when he saw a Georgetown police officer struggling with a combative suspect. They say when the suspect ran off, the officer chased him down and held him until additional Georgetown police officers arrived.
They say they're standing up for Kentucky's mountains. Next, the message of hundreds of people who marched to the state capitol today.
And later in sports, Coach Cal says he's told Andrew Harrison to motivate him during the LSU game. Hundreds of people gathered in Frankfort today in support of the mountains of eastern Kentucky.
The annual I Love Mountains March and rally were held today around the state capitol. Those at the rally say they came together to build a diverse and healthy economy in Appalachia. They're also pushing for alternative energy sources, which they say will help protect the mountains for years to come.
It's a chance for all of us to get together, that we can discuss the situations in our hometowns, and that we can share our stories and our victories and work together to make the changes that are necessary to move forward.
This was the 10th year for the I Love Mountains rally. It's sponsored by Kentuckians for the Commonwealth.